Welcome to Gen Next Door. I'm Jennifer, your friendly neighbor, diving into the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and local business owners who are making a real impact. Whether you're here for practical tips, a dose of motivation, or just a good story, pull up a chair. I'm tackling it all and saving a spot for you. Let's learn together. Today, we're spotlighting the organization at the center of Southern Arizona's entrepreneurial momentum, Startup Tucson. From founder boot camps to major community events like 10 West, this organization has helped shape what innovation looks like in Southern Arizona. And today we are joined by the CEO of Startup Tucson, Liz Pocock, a leader focused not just on launching startups, but on shaping the future of innovation in Tucson. Hi, Liz. Thanks for giving me
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. We're so excited to talk about startup and 10 West and what's going on down here in Tucson.
So before we do all that, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about you and where you grew up and your background before Startup Tucson?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Needles, California. It's this tiny little town on the California-Arizona-Nevada border on the Colorado River. So I am a river rat, tried and true. I graduated with about 50 kids from my public high school, so very small.
Wow. Mine was 600.
Oh yeah, see? Yeah, my whole school was like 350. So, I grew up in a small town. My parents, we got to Needles because my grandparents were farmers and owned their own ranch and farm. And then my parents were our little town pharmacists, so they owned their own businesses. So entrepreneurship has been kind of in my blood. So I grew up in Needles, and then I went to undergrad in Long Beach, California. I was in Long Beach, LA area for a long time. And then I moved to Tucson to go to law school after meeting my husband, my Icelandic husband in Spain. So very roundabout, but we ended up in Tucson.
Told him we would only live here. You actually.
You found that out?
Yeah, and I was going to talk to you about it because I studied abroad in Spain, and it's one of my second home, one of my favorite places in the world.
What part of Spain did you study abroad in?
Barcelona.
Oh, see, we met in Madrid. Oh, so I told him we were only going to live here for a second and we'd live abroad again. And then we fell in love with Tucson. We've been here since 2009, and I did international law right out of law school, and then have been at Startup Tucson for almost 10 years.
Wow. Okay. What did you study in undergrad?
I did human development and anthropology. I thought for sure I was going to go do applied anthropology, and that was actually what led me to law school. I wanted to do work with different cultures and different countries that were trying to essentially do business together. And I was going to do that from an anthropology angle, but then some people I talked to that had done that were like, you should really do it as a lawyer. So I ended up deciding to go to law school, and that was actually one of the reasons that U of A drew me in as a law school, because they had a lot of cross-disciplinary classes and they had a lot of international law classes, and so that was my focus in law school, was international trade and business law.
Okay, and what did you think you were going to do with that?
Yeah, I hoped to work in international law, and I had some advisors tell me there was no way that was going to happen after my first year of law school, and I came home in tears because it's really hard to get into corporate international law right out of law school. And they probably were giving me sound advice, but I was real sad about it. And then my husband was like, well, you're never going to be a corporate attorney. Have you met you? And so I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not. I'm going to keep trying to do this thing that I want to do. And so then I had my second year of law school, I had classes with this professor who was one of my international law professors, and one of the days he had one of his colleagues come in from a law center that he ran that he had never previously talked about, and he was like, she's going to come in and talk about the projects we work on. And so she came in and she was like, the project that we're working on right now is we're helping the legal system in Mexico. They just passed this law where they reformed the way that the court system works, and we're taking teams of bilingual judges and lawyers down and doing all of this training in Mexico. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do.
Oh my
Like,
God.
how do I work for you? And so then I kind of stalked them for a little while, just like real persistent about like, this is what I want to do. And she eventually hired me. She became my mentor for like years, still is a good close friend. And my first day on the job for them while I was still in law school was in Mexico City. Like they hired me, and then 2 days later I got on a flight and started in Mexico City.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. It was crazy, but it was so fun. And I worked for the law center for 5 years during law school and then after law school, and I was doing all different sorts of international economic development, helping different countries across the world basically reform their laws related to how small businesses get access to capital. And so I was always in the sort of like, how do you empower entrepreneurs? I was doing it from a much different, very like macro level, like you enable a law, and then 3 years later you go in and help them learn how to use the law, and you work with the trade associations and the different lawyers and the judges to help really make sure that it's really actually effective for entrepreneurs to use. And so I was doing that for a long time, and then I was kind of getting tired of the travel, which sounds so like, now I'm like, I would love to be traveling.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I was getting tired of the travel, and I was like ready to just be in Tucson a little bit more and to kind of do more in my own community. I kept trying to force the law center to do like local projects, and it was never, I'd be like, but what if we do something like this? And it was just like never working out. Then opportunity came up at Startup Tucson, and that's just sort of what happened. And I came in like not knowing much about entrepreneurial ecosystem building, not
Did you
knowing
just
much
apply
about
to
event
it,
planning.
or how did you find
I
it?
had a friend. I was on the board of a group in Tucson called the Tucson Young Professionals, and I had a friend that was working with the organization, and he was talking to me. We were having like a drink, and he was asking like how my job was, and I was saying I was looking for something different, and he was like, oh, they kind of think they might want a COO, like sort of director of operations. I think you would be great at that. And I was like, nah, like, I don't know. And then he kind of was like, I really think you should think about it. And then that was it. Kind of applied, and then like talked to the CEO then, and hit the ground running. And that was I started 2 weeks before the second year of 10 West. So I've been a part of 10 West for every year except the first one.
So it's your baby. It's yours, basically.
It really is my baby. Yeah. It's my
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Startup Tucson?
Yeah.
I know it started in 2012 by local volunteers. How did that happen?
So the ecosystem in Tucson, the business ecosystem in Tucson is a little bit different than Phoenix. We are a smaller city. We're a pretty diverse city in terms of the types of entrepreneurs we have. At the time, in 2012, there was a lot of stuff happening for the traditional small business community, like with SBDC and sort of the like SBA loans sort of things. And so if you wanted to do that stuff, there were some support services that were happening for you. If you had something that you were doing out of the university, there was like real strong support from some university resources. But if you were kind of in the middle where you were like thinking of how you might want to be a startup, like have a startup, or you might want to start something that was a little bit innovative and didn't really check all the boxes of like a traditional business, there wasn't a lot for you. And so there had been an event that had been happening trying to serve this group in town, led by some of the like angel investor groups, called Idea Funding, that had been happening every year, but it was only like a one time a year event. And there wasn't any additional support that happened outside of that single touch point throughout the year. So the organizers of that event said, like, I think we should maybe like get an organization together that will do this more year round. And so it started with those individuals forming a board, just super grassroots at the beginning. I think I was the first full-time hire when I was hired in 2016. So they had like some part-time people. The CEO was part-time. They just built momentum like over time, and then they got a big federal grant, which they were really lucky to have, that sort of like moved them to the next level. And that was I came on right after that. Since then, we've grown a ton, and we have staff, we have a space, we run a big festival, we've gotten federal funding, state funding, and
That's so cool. You started as a COO. How did you become CEO?
So the organization, again, went through another transition. They had a big grant, and then the funding was cut short based on like some changes in administration, not from them, but sort of nationwide. And so it was at a major turning point where they had lost a bunch of funding. They needed sort of a new direction. And so the CEO stepped away, and then I stepped in as interim and then stepped into the full-time role not too long after that.
Okay.
And so it's a tough road.
So it was like a
when we
gradual
started.
thing?
Yeah,
Or
kind
were
of.
you like afraid to go into it, or you were excited?
It was just it was just a transition because it's a nonprofit. They usually, when something like that happens, they usually do an interim in case the board decides they need to do more of like a real search. And so I started as interim, but then it went well, and so we were both agreed to make it the real deal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the beginning when you started, what obstacles were you seeing in the business space, and what was your main like focus when starting? Like, okay,
Yeah,
what am I
so
gonna fix?
yeah, so I think the organization had previously been serving sort of a certain type of entrepreneur. And one of the things that we did when I took over as CEO with my new team, was really try to see, based on the current landscape of what was happening in Tucson, were we still serving everyone we needed to be serving? We did some work with the board, some work with stakeholders, and one of the things we realized was that to serve the early stage entrepreneurs that we needed to, and that the community needed us to, we needed to not be like a traditional incubator where our money was raised off of the entrepreneur themselves. So we couldn't be like a fee for service type of revenue model. We really needed to spend time as the nonprofit raising funds, going out and writing grants, looking for supporters and other stakeholders that would support the education and the mentorship to be basically low cost or almost free. Because when you're starting a business, you just don't have the extra $1,000 to put yourself in an incubator. You need to put all of that money right back into the business to get past some of those initial hurdles. And so that was a thing that we decided pretty early on with the board, was that we were not going to be, the revenue model of Startup Tucson was not that we were going to try to make money by charging large fees for the services. And so that really helped shape the mission from there. And then we have always worked to just be really like in tune with exactly what's happening in the ecosystem. And so we try not to overbuild programming. We try to, run stuff, the same thing that we teach entrepreneurs, which is like, you should experiment with things. If things work, you should do it again. If they don't, you should pivot. That you shouldn't be afraid to try something, because you never know. And if you spend too long building something, you're never going to get it started. I think that's something that nonprofits can get in they want it to be perfect. And so they spend a lot of time making it perfect. And then by the time they roll it out, their audience they're trying to serve's needs have changed. And so we have always done that. So we've started new programs because we've seen gaps. So during COVID, we started a little makerspace because there were a lot of the community makerspaces that closed down, and people that were using those for their business lost access to some of that important equipment. We saw a lot of people moving to food entrepreneurship, so we started a little mini food accelerator to help them work through the first part of what it's like to launch a food business.
I like that. It's like what people need in real time. I was looking at your website and I saw that you guys like focus on a couple of like pillars: learn, build, grow, thrive. Can you walk us through those areas and summarize a little bit and who they're designed for? Yeah,
so we focus our programming, like you said, around the learn, build, grow pipeline. And our learn programming is really focused on people that are interested in learning what entrepreneurship could mean for them. So they maybe have an idea, or they're in the very early stages of getting something together. So we have what we call Startup 101. We offer it monthly. It's designed to give them sort of an introduction to, like, if you were going to launch a business, or if you wanted to really grow this business, what are the 5 things you should be thinking about? And it serves as a foundation for a lot of the other things we do. We sort of say coming to 101 may mean that you decide to pursue that idea, but if you come to 101 and then you're like, whoa, that is not what I thought that was going to be. That's also totally fine, because you shouldn't launch something that's not going to work, or that you're not 100% passionate about, or that you don't know will actually result in what you think you want it to. So we're all around, like, entrepreneurship and starting a business is inherently risky. We're trying to give you all the tools that you need to get it to the risk threshold that you're comfortable with, right? That's my attorney speaking. So you're never going to eliminate all the risk in launching a business, but if you can start to answer questions in these buckets of things around what makes you more comfortable in taking that next decision, you can sleep better at night and you'll be more successful. So Learn is really focused on some of those pieces.
Sorry, the next phase is who's hosting those workshops?
Yeah, we're teaching those. So our staff teaches those.
Okay.
They happen monthly. And then after 101, entrepreneurs can kind of continue if they want to pursue their idea. So they join our Founders Network. It's free. It's basically access to, coaching time with us, office hours, action advising with mentors. So we have about 80 volunteer mentors that support our work and entrepreneurs in Southern Arizona. So they can sign up. We'll have the action advising this month is expert in marketing and branding. Sign up for 15 minutes or 30 minutes with him to learn more about, ask him specific questions about your marketing and branding. We do a lot of stuff around that's really meant to accommodate entrepreneurs' schedules. Some stuff is more formal programming, and some stuff is just oh yeah, I could use 30 minutes with an attorney. I had this burning question that I haven't gotten around to. And then they can just sign up real quick. We host monthly office hours, so they can always pop into those and oh, I was wondering what I should do about this. And we just sort of do those as group learnings. And then once they're in build, if they want to formally work on taking an idea all the way through to launch, or they've just launched and they really want to build some momentum, we have a 6-month program that they can do self-paced, where they're paired with mentors, but they kind of go through it at their own pace to really get them through that initial year after they've started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then our final sort of piece is build, is grow. And grow is really focused on, once you have consistent revenue, doesn't have to be tons of revenue, but you are generating some sort of consistent monthly revenue, and you are now at a place where you're ready to think about what growth looks like for you. So does that mean you're ready to quit your day job? Does that mean you're ready to hire your first employee? Or does that mean you're ready to hire your 10th employee, or finally bring on a COO, or think about what an exit might look like for you? All of that technically fits in that grow stage, and it's super custom developed with each entrepreneur. They fill out a self-assessment around which growth areas they want to focus on, and then we pair them with expert, sort of more advanced mentors to lead them through sort of 2-month sprints in a particular area to work on the strategic side of their businesses.
I know that you want to grow this to be nationwide, familiar with everybody. You are scaling this organization. How do you make an impact without losing community intimacy?
Yeah, so Startup Tucson probably won't scale sort of beyond our region, but 10 West is really where we're working on our growth plan. And so 10 is our annual innovation festival, and it's now the largest entrepreneurship and creativity festival in the Southwest. It's in its 11th year, and it happens every March. So we are a month away this year. And it's 3 days of conference that covers, it's built for entrepreneurs, for creators, for culinary innovators. We have a number of second career entrepreneurs that attend, intrapreneurs, and then sort of broader community builders and people that are generally curious about the innovation ecosystem. So the conference itself sees about 1,000 attendees, and then the wraparound events. So every night we have different 10 West experiences. Those are shows. This year we're doing a really fun partnership with our improv group here in Tucson, where founders will tell stories, their sort of failure stories or their funniest founder stories, and then the improv group will improv off of those. So we do lots of fun stuff in the evening. Yeah, we do a big pitch competition every year where it's like Shark Tank style. We give away about $50,000 in prizes. That's open to entrepreneurs throughout the state. We do concerts. We're doing a really fun concert with the new concert venue here in Tucson called La Rosa this year.
Okay.
We do mixers every day. We started with this giant mega mixer. This year we have 27 partners that are part of that mega mixer. So it's the biggest business mixer of the year for Southern Arizona. And so all this kind of wraps up into 10 West. And previously, that's been attended by mostly people from Southern Arizona. Not all. We're getting like more and more people from Phoenix every year, more and more speakers from Phoenix and outside the region. We have national keynotes that fly in and support the festival. But in terms of growth, we really are trying to grow that as something that it's not just for people in Southern Arizona. We want to get the word out that something really special is happening here. And just because you're not from Tucson doesn't mean you shouldn't come hang out with us for a week.
Yeah, I mean, like people in Phoenix are so close. Like it's a drive away, a couple hours.
Yes.
And I think that's a great opportunity just for everyone around Arizona.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I want to go back to the organization. I saw that the Tucson area has the highest concentration of family businesses in the whole U.S., about 33%. Is that what you are seeing on your end? Is that your target audience? Like, who do you look for when trying to find people for Startup Tucson? Or do you just, like, whoever shows up, everyone's welcome?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, when you think about, so the way that the best way to support entrepreneurs is by building a full ecosystem around that. So Startup Tucson is one piece of that ecosystem, but we have 20, 30 other organizations that work to serve entrepreneurs and businesses in some way. And so our ecosystem is really special because we do try to coordinate with each other. So we, as an ecosystem, people that run organizations similar to mine, we try to meet monthly to say, like, what are you planning to do? What am I planning to do? What gaps do we have? And we do a ton of partner referrals. So if somebody comes to us and we're not quite the right fit for them, we'll refer them to another organization that might have a better set of services for them. And we always say, like, somebody that's like, the like rock star of Tucson, they've been to literally all of us, right? Like they started over here because that's what they needed first, and then they came over here, and then they came over here, and we've all had just a little part in their entrepreneurial journey, and that's amazing. Like that they could go and find all the support that they needed at the time they needed it to grow. I would say Startup Tucson's sweet spot is really, we kind of focus on people that are trying to do something a little bit different. You don't have to necessarily want to go and raise angel capital. You don't have to eventually have an exit and give away equity. That could be you. We absolutely can help you with that. We have connections to angel groups. We have connections to venture capital. Like we sit in that part of the ecosystem as well, but you don't have to know that you want to do that right away. You can also just be somebody that's trying to do something a little bit different, and like the typical business model is maybe not quite what you had in mind. So one of the examples I like to use, it's like the simplest version, is like somebody that wants to open a barbershop. If they're opening a barbershop and they're following the traditional model of opening a barbershop, they need a space, they need to know what part of town they're going to put it in, they need some capital at the beginning. The model's kind of tried and true. If you put it in the right spot, you find your clients. There's not much different things in there that, there's promotion and that you could be doing better, or like you can find the right types of clients, make sure your pricing is right. But if you're kind of following a more traditional business model, there's probably better organizations that will get you to capital a lot faster than we would. So we might refer you to one of them. Where our sweet spot would be is you would like to do a barbershop, but inside your barbershop, you have this vision to also have workforce training, because you'd really like to change the way that future barbers learn about how to be a barber. So you have you want to run a different type of way to do an apprentice shop, or you want to whatever, or maybe you want to have a bar inside your barbershop. So that changes everything. You now have to think totally different about where you put it, how you're marketing, who your client is. Yeah. And that slight innovation is really where Startup Tucson and sort of our methodologies can help you shine and move through some of that risk a lot faster. Does that help kind of frame?
Yeah, that makes sense. You must have a lot of unique businesses then. Do you have any in mind that you really like?
Well, we're always really proud of Ray Ray's. If you guys have had Ray Ray's, in Phoenix. She just started distributing up in Phoenix. Rachel's one of our Startup Tucson 10 West idea funding success stories. She was a bartender here in Tucson. She always made this sort of specialty cocktail, kind of like a John Daly, like an iced tea, vodka sort of thing. And she had this vision that I would really love for this to be available on draft. and as a can, like in a can, like cocktail in a can. And so
Oh,
she figured out how to develop that recipe. She's canning. She's now distributing statewide, and she's
oh my
just
God,
like
I have to look
crushing
her
it.
up.
And yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
It's like the best. So Rachel is a great example. We've had people. One of our fun ones came. He has since moved to Austin, which is sad, but that's okay. He was a student at U of A when he first approached us, a sophomore, and he had this idea to basically do what Topgolf did for golf, like making it gamified and sort of bringing it back and accessible to like lots of different people that weren't necessarily golf people. The same sort of thing, but for pool. And so he founded a company called Bill Lights, and he did all this in our lab. He like prototyped all of these things in our lab before he started to manufacture. And on the edge of a pool table underneath, there's now like his product is a light strip that goes around inside so that you can gamify how you play pool. So it becomes less
Oh,
about, do you know how to play a traditional like 8-ball pool? Instead, you're, okay, this pocket, if you shoot in this pocket, you get these number of points. If you shoot in that pocket, you get these number of points. And it's all like light based. And
okay.
so he found it. So we have lots of stories like that, but we also have great stories of like creators that, you know, have always had a vision of doing something a little bit different way, and like bringing their art forward in a little bit different way. We have a founder right now that has a photography business, but he serves specifically people in like the sports space, and he takes a lot of like sport pictures for people, and he has a vision of
Okay.
like, it's really hard to get into sports photography, like to take like team pictures for like soccer leagues, right? It's kind of, but there's like kind of
Yeah.
a formula. And so he has this vision. Could I crack that code for other people so that people that want to do this on the side now he's going to, you know, wants to develop materials that then can be used to go train other people. So like, yes, he's making money off of it, but he's like paying it forward, and now other people can make money off of learning how to do that. So we end up with a lot of people like that. We have people that they've been an expert in their field for a really long time as a school psychologist, but they don't like the way that it's being done, and they want to go out on their own. And yeah, right at the beginning, they're probably going to be doing a lot of consulting, but eventually they have this vision to have X, Y, and Z. And so we help guide them through the process of what it means to turn
Oh
their
my
kind of
God.
skills into whatever the next iteration is.
That
Yeah, we get
sounds
to work with
so
so many fun people.
inspiring. I do you ever feel like seeing all of them do these kinds of things? Do you ever get ideas and want to
Oh
just
yeah,
start something
someday I will
yourself?
have my own company for sure. Absolutely. But right now, that's what I get to do with the startup and with 10 West. We get to infuse a lot of creativity into the way that we bring the festival forward and the way that we bring Startup Tucson forward to the community. So right now,
Yeah.
that sort of is my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, someday when I have that like really good idea, it's gonna happen. My current good ideas are not that good. Once I run them through, I'm like, I'm not gonna make any money from
Oh
this,
my God.
even
It's
though I
gonna be
want it
great.
a lot. But someday.
What is like one of the most challenging things that you see from early stage founders that
Yeah, I
people should
think
know about?
well, there's a few things. I think the current climate is tough, like just in reality. It's tough with changes in like the rapid pace of change around, you know, are there tariffs? Aren't there tariffs? Can I get this thing? Can I not get this thing? Like business models are having to change really rapidly, which we maybe didn't see anymore. I mean, COVID taught us that as well, and how you have to build a lot more resiliency into things, and you have to be a lot more comfortable with
Being
change and like
uncomfortable?
navigating change and being uncomfortable. So I think that is like a consistent thread. But one of the things we see that trips people up at the beginning a lot of times is that they're building something. This is why none of my ideas have gone forward. They're building something that for them, but they haven't thought a lot about how their customer might engage with it and
Okay.
what their customer wants. So we spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs helping them do customer discovery and like not traditional market research where you'd be like, there's 300 people that live in this area. And like, we do that too, but we spend more time on, have you got out and talked to the customers? Do you know that they'll pay you for it? What will they pay? Because you can make a lot of assumptions when you first start around what somebody will pay for something, how much somebody will pay for something, because it's maybe what you would pay. But just because you would do it doesn't mean that there's like enough people that make it a viable business. And so we try to help them navigate that initial process. And I think something that's hard for people at the beginning, especially if they're not used to being sort of entrepreneurial or like even outgoing, is those conversations can be hard. Like it's something that you care about deeply, you've thought about a lot. And so now coming out and talking to a stranger or somebody that's not like your immediate family and getting like in real time feedback that's maybe not going to be as positive as you'd like it to be is super challenging, right? And so we spend a lot of time talking about, it's so scary. Yeah. I think that's one of the big ones.
I did that in college on some of my classes, and I was doing like market research, so I would go out and actually ask people, and they're like, no, we don't want that. We want this instead. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then we had to pivot. But what industries are you seeing that have the most growth right now?
It's sort of across the board. We've seen a lot more stuff in food, although that's slowed down a little bit. We added a culinary innovator summit to 10 West this year to sort of support some of the growth we've seen in that area. We've seen a lot of stuff in health and wellness. I'm trying to think if there were trends in our idea funding applications this year. For the pitch competition, we got about 100 applications. Oh, wow. So we see all sorts of things. Health and wellness, I already talked about. There's been a lot of stuff in like, not just health and wellness, like sort of the traditional wellness things, but really sort of this idea of like navigating change, like mental well-being. And I think that's like not surprising that you're seeing some of that right now, not just for adults, but also for kids that like we saw a lot of people come forward with like, here's some things that we need to be doing for this next generation, sort of probably because some of the trauma that they've experienced because of like COVID and you know, all of the things that they've already experienced in their short lives. So we've seen some more stuff in that. On the tech side, absolutely stuff in sustainability. So whether that's like regenerative energy or things around, we did a lot of stuff a few years ago around different like agricultural sustainability. There's lots of cool stuff from the university that's coming out in that. So those are kind of the main.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
There's
a lot.
Yeah. Tucson's super diverse in terms of what you got people with all sorts of ideas.
That's exciting. Okay, so 10 West has become a major event. How did you start it? And what role does it play in the ecosystem right now?
Yeah, so it was started a year before I started with the organization, but when it was started, it was, again, super grassroots because the organization was grassroots. So it was community-led, which has always been a super important part of 10 West. So at the beginning, it was volunteers from about 20 different organizations that were all really excited about this idea of a festival that represented the intersection of things. That's always been really important to 10 West, that it's both, you know, entrepreneurship is rooted at the middle of it, but creativity is a huge part of it. Changing technology is a huge part of it. Community organizations and community building is a huge part of it. All volunteer led at the beginning. It's always had a conference component, and then it's had these sort of extra events around it. We've grown the conference a ton. This year's keynote is Jason Pfeiffer, the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, which I'm so excited to have him. Last year's keynote was Guy Raz, How I Built This. Huge fan. It was amazing. It was amazing. He was so wonderful. We've had some really amazing musicians. Last year we had Reggie Watts. This year I said we're doing that really fun show at La Rosa. It's really a great place where entrepreneurs, creators, everybody can come and feel themselves. I think what we try to strive for is making every part of the festival really intentional. And so when we plan it, you know, it's not only the big networking event. Like, that works for a lot of people, but some people absolutely cannot do big networking, and they don't like big networking. So they won't do well in finding connections if that's the only type of networking that you provide. So we have things where, like, you can go to lunch with a group of 10 people, because that's an easier way for you to meet people. We have little ways to, like, spark conversation where instead of just walking to somebody and having to introduce yourself and what you do, you can see already that I know, it's hard. Because I don't think even if you're like a mega networker, I have a suspicion that nobody really likes networking. But it's kind of like, you have to do it. So but it is all about connection. So we really try to make it possible. The sessions are not, there's no mega sessions. Every speaker that participates, we really try to make sure that they understand that they shouldn't be talking at anybody. They should be engaging conversations or workshops. People should leave with the tangible takeaways, tactics that they can apply. The conference itself ends up with about 60 sessions over the different days. Another thing that's unique about 10 West is that we're across the footprint of downtown. So instead of being at a conference center, we did the convention center for a little while, but we're back into downtown, and we take over bars and restaurants. And so during the day, instead of like sitting in a conference room, you're sitting inside a bar, and all the spaces are really inspiring.
I don't think I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so we use all different parts of downtown. We work with, I don't know, probably like 20 venues. We hold pitch competitions in concert venues. Like, it just has a totally different feel that I think if you're here, it really can help you kind of get out of your bubble and really immerse yourself in the experience, which, my favorite stories out of 10 West are like, yeah, I met them at 10 West and then, or I first came to 10 West and then, and that inspired something big for their next step.
Yeah, and then I love that you guys are using like other local businesses, and it's like an advertisement for them.
Yeah. Yep. All the money, we try to keep as much money as possible from the festival back into other entrepreneurs. So we work really hard to work with like our swag, like we're doing a coffee this year. So we like picked our own 10 West coffee that was like special brewed, like blended for us. And you'll be able to buy it, and it's from like a local coffee partner that we've partnered with for the last few years. We make a 10 West beer, so we partner with a brewery, and they brew us a special beer, and then it's like in our special can. This year we have a candle, so we like went and made a scent, like picked a scent that we thought represented like 10 West and the Southwest, and now
what does it smell like?
Candle. It's like, it smells like creosote, which is not surprising. Like, smells like rain.
Okay.
But it's such a like desert smell. If you're like a desert kid and you like know the second it starts to get moist, you're like, oh, it's desert rain. So it smells like desert rain with a little bit of other stuff in there. But yeah, so we've done like 10 West. I don't have them on today, but we've done like 10 West earrings with a local maker that does earrings that are like 100% in our brand. So we really try to make sure that we infuse like local entrepreneurship throughout. We're telling local stories. We're telling state stories. We also do a lot of stuff with entrepreneurs in Phoenix. So like last year, our Made in Arizona panel had State 48 as a part of it. Like, we are it's not just Tucson, it's really Arizona. And so what stories are we telling about the amazing creatives and entrepreneurs that are here?
Oh my God, that's so cool. Last year, I saw that you had about 4,500 attendees in 10 West. What number are you expecting this year, and who should participate or join the festival?
Yeah, so we'll probably have, the conference itself will probably have about 1,000, maybe some more, a few more. We do a lot of wraparound events, so that number sort of changes. Last year was close to 4,500 because we had a big street fest on the Sunday that was like 300 vendors, and it was a partnership with Made in Tucson, which is this very special group here that puts on these amazing street festivals and maker festivals. And so we had partnered with them. So last year we had a big community presence at that event. I think our total will go down a little bit because we're not necessarily doing that street fest, but we have a lot of really amazing stuff on the weekend. We're introducing a concept called 10 West Explores. And so if you travel down and attend the festival and decide to stay through the weekend, there'll be different unique experiences that you can't do any other time in Tucson. So one of them is a ghost tour at Hotel Congress, which is amazing. They do an amazing ghost tour, but instead of just a ghost tour, they also have a cocktail on their menu called the Ghost Orchid. So you're going to learn how to make that cocktail to go on your ghost tour. We have a DJ workshop that's happening on the weekend. We have an amazing event at the Children's Museum that's family friendly, that's focused on helping kids learn through tasting different things, trying lots of different things, and they get a little like taste passport if they try things, and it's like meant to help engage parts of our audience that are parents. And so we have like a lot of great partners for that one. So there's all sorts of stuff to do if you come down. And it's really for entrepreneurs, creators, people that are in the food space, people that want to learn more about innovation or entrepreneurship. So you could just be like kind of curious about that. You could be somebody that works in a nonprofit or a company and you're trying to do things like a little bit different and with some innovation in mind. There'd be really great sessions for you on that too. People in marketing, we got a lot of really good marketing stuff this year.
Oh my God, you guys, we need a carpool.
Yeah,
we
get a
need to
Phoenix train going.
Okay, you said that it was 3-day conference with a lot of sessions, 60 plus, right? Or something like that.
Yep.
Can you tell us like what kind of sessions they are?
Yeah.
Or people get to learn?
Our sort of core themes this year are marketing and branding, AI and emerging technology, navigating change, which we've talked about a lot today. So that's a consistent theme through 10 West. Arts and community. And then we have a consumer product focus this year. So there's certain sessions that are very much focused on if you were trying to build a consumer product. And then we have 3 summits, and the summits are focused on particular audiences. So we have a founder summit, we have a creator summit, and we have a culinary innovator summit.
Ooh, okay. There's a lot going on.
A lot going on. It's really hard to pick. The schedule will release this weekend, and the full schedule. The schedule is out right now of like what day is happening and when the evening things are happening. But the actual like exact sessions is all coming out this weekend, and it is so hard for our team to decide because at any given time there's 4 sessions happening. And it's so hard to like line them up to say like,
pick that?
That's what everybody tells us every year. You have too many good ones. I couldn't pick. I had to pick. You put my 2 favorite ones against each other. And I'm like, I don't know.
Is there like a limit for each session or people can just do whatever?
Yeah, so we have the way the passes work is if you can only come for a day, we have a day pass. So if you can only come down on Wednesday, you can buy a day pass for Wednesday. You can go to any of the sessions that happen on the Wednesday. You can stay for the happy hour. So that's like how the single day works. Our sort of general 10 West pass, which is what most people do, is they buy the all conference pass. That gets you into all 3 of the conference days, all the networking that happens, the big pitch competition. So most people buy that one. But if you're a true 10 West fan, you'll buy the Insider's Pass, and that gets you into all of it. So it gets you into like all the evening concerts, all the shows. You get drink tickets, you get extra swag. It's like the VIP treatment.
Yes. That's the one we should all choose.
That's the one you should get. I promise. You'll have so much fun. You'll be so tired of me by the end, but we have a great time for a week.
How can the broader community support founders and business owners?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they're obviously supporting them in whatever they're doing on site. So if like they are popping up at a market, you can support them by buying or purchasing. You can support them by sharing. Like one of the biggest things is like, even if this product is not for you, but you have somebody that you think might love it or enjoy it or be able to help them, like sharing what they're doing, I think is always a great like storytelling or their story with other people. Even if that's not on social, like word of mouth is such a great way to get people to know about stuff that they should know about. If you have, if you're an expert in your field or if you have a particular skill, volunteering for an organization like Startup Tucson as a mentor or similar organizations in your town or Phoenix or statewide. It's very rare that we all know how to do everything in business, except a founder has to do everything in business. So they need a lot of help. And so if they can have a mentor in a particular area, help them navigate something, like that can be a game changer of something that would have taken them, a week to finish now takes them 2 hours because they had the right advice to navigate through it. And I always like to say that, like, we have a lot of people that I talk to that are like, no, I could never be a mentor. I do this, like, very specific thing. Or I can be a mentor. I'm not, like, far enough along in my career. I'm not an expert. And, like, that's not true because...
I say that all the time.
I know. See, Jennifer, you would be a great mentor.
Oh my
because
God.
you have experience in doing something, not like this.
I mean,
this
someone asked me about podcasting, and I'm like, I'm new to this. I don't really know what I'm doing.
But you're so much further than somebody that's brand new.
And,
yes. And like you have lessons learned and you have, so, you know, not everybody's going to be a growth mentor right away where they can help you navigate business strategy and figure out pricing. But there's so many little things that trip up entrepreneurs when they start, that even just like, if you've spent 2 months of your life working on something, that's too much longer than they've been on it.
Yeah.
And so if you have some wisdom that you can impart on them, that saves them that time and makes them all that much more successful. So I always say, like, mentor and give back if you feel like, and at least our mentor model is super flexible. So once you're a mentor for us, you can kind of pick and choose how much time you give. And sometimes that can be a lot of time if you have it. And sometimes that can be like 1 hour every 3 months. But whatever that, when I have that entrepreneur that needs that specific thing that you can help with, now you're on my like roster and I can say, hi, Jennifer, will you talk to so-and-so?
Yeah.
He really needs help with this.
That's awesome. How do you define success?
For who?
For business owners, but for you too. I mean, for everybody.
Business owners, I think we define success probably a little differently than a lot of other startup support organizations would. I think entrepreneurship has such a power to, you know, create generational wealth. It has power to give people autonomy over what they do with their day. It has the power to change your level of confidence about things. It just has the power to do a lot of different things. Traditional economic development metrics that say when somebody is successful, right? Like they've have X amount in revenue, they have hired X number of people, and I think all of those things are important. We absolutely track that stuff because that's important for regional economic development. But I think success really has to be set at the individual entrepreneur's level because that definition changes from month to month and what time you are in your life. So it could be that right now success for an entrepreneur means 2 sales a month because they've never done this before and they just need somebody to buy something to prove that they can take the next step. But that same entrepreneur 5 years from now, that could mean now they have taken the full leap and they need success to mean something a little bit different. One of the things that I love about this job is that we get to be with those entrepreneurs at both steps. So even if we don't see them for a year, they'll come to something again. They'll come to 10 West once a year, and I'll say, like, how's the business going? And I'll get to hear, like, oh, yeah, I remember last year we talked about this, and I went ahead and did that other thing, and this part worked, but this part didn't. But now I'm doing this, and I'm super excited. Or we still have people that call, and they're like, we get to celebrate their wins, but we also are there when they have something that didn't quite work out, and we get to help them try to figure out what's next.
I love that. Do you have a favorite success story? Like a drastic change maybe? They called you and they're like, oh my God, I made X amount of money, or...
Well, those two, Rachel and Blake, are both really good ones, the two that I shared before. But I always get this question, I should have better prepared responses because I have like, but you kind of feel like they're all like your... oh
yeah, they're all great.
I love them all for different reasons. So it's hard to be like, this is my favorite child.
No, we're not picking favorites. Last 3 questions here that I always ask everybody. What do you read or watch to stay informed or for fun?
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed right now. Like everybody's, if any of my friends listen to this, they're like, stop talking about it. I am obsessed with Amy Poehler's new Good Hang podcast.
The podcast?
Like obsessed. Previously, I'm like, that's not my podcast vibe. I am like economics of everyday things. Like that's been my vibe for podcasts. And then for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to try this Good Hang thing. And I'm like dying. Every time I'm in the car, I'm just like, she's such a good conversationalist. She's so funny. The people she interviews. And I think the reason I like it, I was trying to pinpoint it with my husband because I like turned him on it and now he's listening to it. And every friend that I can tell, I'm like, have you heard this episode? I'll send him like a very specific episode, like you would love this one. And so I think the reason that I like it, we were talking about it, is it's not because of the celebrity interviews, because I'm not really like a housewives person and like I don't follow a lot of like celebrity gossip. It's because what she's actually doing is talking to them about the creative process, and I find it fascinating. So it's like she's actually interviewing them about like their journey through their career, kind of like what we've talked about today. Yeah. And then she's like talking to them about like, so how do you handle like this particular thing with happening? So it's very much like our conversation, and it's just like so refreshing because it's not.
Well, that's interesting.
I need a little bit of fun in my life.
Yes. Usually celebrities don't have those kinds of conversations. It's more like, who are you married to? Like,
no, it's none of that.
It's
Not like that at all. It's very much like, how did you get started in your career? When did you think you've always been an actor? When did you think you were going to be an actor? And she interviews a lot of comedians, and a lot of them have been on SNL. Yes. And the SNL stuff is like so fascinating.
She's funny too.
The process of SNL. She's funny too, yeah. And the process of SNL and what it means to have been on SNL is all super fascinating to me. But also, she talks to them like, when did you audition for SNL? Previously, what were you doing? Were you funny in high school? And like a lot of them will be like, I was not funny in high school. I got like the B roles, and like I was not funny in this until I did this other thing. So I just think that's my favorite right now.
Okay. What is something you want to leave the listeners with? Information about your projects, last inspirational words.
I mean, well, because 10 West is around the corner, I'm going to tell everybody that they should come and see us at 10 West.
Yes.
We would love to have you in Tucson, and I feel like it's a conference that you can't find a lot of other places. It is loosely inspired by South by, but I promise you it is not the South by vibe. And I guarantee you'll have a good time. So I really hope that if you are a creator, an entrepreneur, you are in the innovation space, you are searching for some inspiration and some connection, that you come and join us at the end of March.
Yes. You got me really excited about it, actually.
Yeah, I hope you're going to come.
Yeah. Maybe one day. Just not the 3 days. Okay, so last question. What do you love about Arizona? What local business or location?
That's a good question.
I know. There's a lot. I know.
There's so many. I think I have to say Tucson. I love Tucson. I love Flagstaff as well. But I think I have to say Tucson. I think the thing that I love about Tucson is really that there is so much community here, and there's so much culture here, and that flows through the way that entrepreneurs create projects. And you can, if you only want to shop local and support local, it's really easy to do that here. And everybody brings with them so much to their businesses. And I think that shapes like our sort of special feel here.
I haven't been to Tucson.
See? Now
I really gotta go. But it's like on my list. It's kind of one of those things where I barely went to the Grand Canyon a couple months ago. It's kind of like that. I want to travel the world, and I'll see the other cities in Arizona later.
When I see them,
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for
Thank
speaking
you.
to
It's
me
been
today.
so fun.
It was really fun. Hi, everyone. If this conversation got you inspired about what's happening in Southern Arizona's startup scene, here's your next step. We're heading to 10 West, and you should too. 10 West is where founders, creatives, community builders, and innovators collide. And it's one of the best places to plug in the energy we talked about in today's episode. You can get $50 off either a festival insider pass or an all-conference pass to 10 West Festival. Here's how to redeem it. You go to 10west.com/2026 tickets. You choose either the Festival Insider or the All-Conference Pass, and you use my promo code JENTW at checkout. And that's it. I'm so excited for you guys to see 10 West. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the show. And as always, keep building, keep creating, and keep showing up for your community.